Hello, this is Jesse Austin. I'm joined here by my co-host Carla Lenk with another episode of Community Business Matters. Today we have a program devoted to the resources that are available to budding entrepreneurs, and we have some very special guests here to discuss various aspects of these resources. One of our guests is Melissa Meschke of the Small Business Development Center at University of Wisconsin Stevens Point. We also have Don Vruwink of Incourage. And we have Laura West of TAP Services, a community action program that offers services in a variety of areas, but we're going to concentrate on business today. And so Carla, as you know from our previous episodes, is very well grounded in this area of entrepreneurship, and so I'm going to have her start off our questioning.
Thank you, Jesse. I'm going to start off by asking Dawn Vruwink to give the background of what we're going to be hearing, because she was very involved in setting up some of these programs. So, Dawn?
Thank you. Thanks for having me today.
Thank you.
So on behalf of Incourage, we are working to strengthen connections between entrepreneurs, businesses, and lenders, and with the lenders including CDFIs, which stands for Community Development Financial Institutions. And we were involved in helping to host a entrepreneurial development series in October, and that provided us with an opportunity to bring together some of the partners that are involved in the entrepreneurial support system in our community. And that included Mid-State Technical College, the UW Stevens Point Small Business Development Center, and the Heart of Wisconsin Chamber of Commerce. And through our work with the Tribune, we continue to work towards connecting these partners and other partners with entrepreneurs, and it's all in an effort to help grow our local economy from within. So the workshop that was held, the series that was held, there were two panels, and the first one involved resources, local resources that were available, and our guests will talk more about that. And then also, our second panel was about the CDFIs and their role in working with people interested in starting businesses and
The money folks.
yes. And what is so exciting about it is that it's not just about financial or the money to help get that started. These wonderful resources that we have help with technical assistance and planning as well. So we at Incourage really work to help. We don't provide direct services, but we work towards investing in these CDFIs so that there are opportunities available to all of the people in our community.
Melissa, could you tell us what your vision is for the future and what you've been doing and how you interacted with this entrepreneurship course?
Sure. So if you're not familiar about the Small Business Development Center, the whole mission of the organization is to provide free consulting to new, aspiring, and existing businesses. So people that are interested in help writing a business plan, getting financial, getting some loans like we were talking about before, helping with a marketing plan, helping with HR questions, how do I get my LLC, and everything as far as I need to sell my business, what do I do next, and everything in between. So all of our consulting is really custom. So we spend a lot of time learning about a little about everything. And I think that the event that was hosted was a really good example of how all of these resources can come together and work collaboratively. From the outside, people might think that we're competitors. So another person that was involved in the event was UWSP. They are also a CDFI, just like CAP Services is. And people always ask, what's the difference between CAP Services, SCORE, SBDC? And really, we can provide a lot of services, but all provide a different twist and different resources, different knowledge. We all have different educational backgrounds. We have different experience with building businesses. So a lot of different assistance that they can get, and really it's getting into that entrepreneurial community. And I think that's where the Tribune Building Project, Incourage, really helps tie all those pieces together here in Wisconsin Rapids.
Because you were telling me before we began filming that you yourself were an entrepreneur at one point in the state of Michigan. So that's an interesting experience to bring to the table in this sort of situation.
Yeah, and there's a lot of people in these roles that were entrepreneurs too. Laura was as well. So I think
a couple of times at least.
Oh, okay.
I think that there's a lot to be said, because we've been there. We've not taken a paycheck. We've decided which vendor to pay because one's going to be less mad than the other, right? So we've been there, and we can really help entrepreneurs get through that.
You might want to talk about which counties you serve, because you have a geographic district that is very contained.
We have quite a large district. We cover a lot of square footage, but it's actually one of the smaller population areas of the state. So it's unique to the other SBDCs. But our service covers Portage County, Wood, Wapaka, Adams, Marathon, and then we go all the way north to the border. So Vilas, Oneida, Lincoln, and Langlade County. So it's quite a huge territory. We really work to cover it as effectively as we can. So it's really important for us to grow relationships with the chambers of commerce, for instance. So one of the things I started this year at the center was our business education series. So we partnered with 9 chambers across the whole territory to offer free programming to entrepreneurs or people already in business. And that was really successful. We think we're going to be about 230 attendees over the year for that program. We're doing it again in 2019. So that's been a really great way to get into the community, really, build relationships, build trust, and really understand who these people are and how we can help, because somebody I'm helping up in Lincoln County is a lot different than somebody I'm helping in Marathon County typically.
Now with that, the entrepreneurship, just to make sure that I'm understanding you, there is a grant with WWSP is that the same thing? That's the 6 or 8 weeks that goes on?
So that's an additional program we do. That's our entrepreneurial training program, and that we offer in 3 locations: Stevens Point, Wausau, and Anigo. We're adding Tomahawk next fall too. So that's a 9-week program in which they're tasked to write a business plan and full financials, and that is funded by the WEDC. So it's a $1,000 program. WEDC has a grant for $750 of it. The entrepreneur is responsible for the $250. So that's another program that we offer too.
Right. Well, you see entrepreneur, and then you trying to figure out to the person that's not really sure which one that is. They were questioning why one is 2 weeks and this one here is 8,
Right.
Or 9 weeks. And it was always somebody was asking, what's the difference? And do you have to be certified, or do you have your own curriculum? Vicki, I think, had her own curriculum. I don't know if you adopted that. That's the previous SBDC director.
Yeah, we work off of a book, but we've really adapted that curriculum. And this fall, actually, we totally revamped the way we do the program. So we went and refreshed.
Next level?
We use Successful Planning, I believe is the name of the book, and we walk them through the book, and then it's a combination of lecture, a guest speaker each class, and like a hands-on activity. So we might go through a cash flow activity, or we might go through a marketing activity to help them really understand what it takes. So we do offer a lot of programming. If you check out on our website, uwsp.edu/SBDC, you can see all of our programming in addition to information about consulting too.
Okay, now we go to Laura West, who is Director of the Jobs and Business Development Program at CAP Services. And you also have a geographic district that you're working with.
We do, and we have more than one I guess, program or service that we provide. So when you're looking at CAP services in business development itself, we cover central Wisconsin, which includes Wood County, Portage County, Wapaka, all the way over to Outagamie County, and then south to Marquette and Waushara County. So it's central, a little bit to the east, and then on the southern side. There are other counties that we can serve in addition to that, such as Marathon County, Lincoln County, and Calumet. It's not part of our our concentrated footprint, but we do have the ability and we do have the funding to serve those counties.
Do you do Adams, or is that down, that's in Wisconsin, Dells? Isn't it,
Right,
coming out of-
exactly. We don't serve Adams County as far as the technical assistance that we provide, but we also administer another fund. It's the acronym is CWED, which stands for Central Wisconsin Economic Development Fund. So it's a funding opportunity for gap financing or micro loans for businesses, and they do fund in Adams County, also in Vilas and Forest. So we get the opportunity to travel a little bit outside of our footprint because we are managing a fund that covers those areas.
Would any of you or any one of you, if you want, all of you want to weigh in on this, how would you recap that program that took? And first of all, I apologize. What was the name of the event that took place in October?
It was the Entrepreneurial Development Series.
Oh, okay. And so, would any of you want to weigh in on your reflections on how that series went?
Yeah, I think, like I said before, it was a great example of how we can all work together. So the different resources there do overlap. SCORE offers counseling, so does SBDC, so does WWIC, so does CAP Services. So I think it was a great way to really break down, we do some of the same things, but these are the things we really want to be doing, and this is why we work with partners to accomplish all the same goal, right? We all want to help entrepreneurs. That's what it comes down to. So I think that the group was a really good example of how we can all work together, and the more we build small business, the more we build our communities. And I think that event did a really good job of that.
Excellent.
There were 4 different CDFIs that participated in the panel, and I know, like, from Incourage's perspective, we are now looking. We have been investing for over a decade, but we are also now looking at investing in WWIC, which would be for women, as well as the Hmong CDFI and the Native American CDFI.
Wow.
So it was great. It was just great. The connections there were, for me, one of the best things about the series.
That's exciting that you're focusing in on diversity, and because in terms of economic development for any community or region, that would play a major factor in attracting outside investment and things of that nature.
So it just reflects what Melissa was saying about everybody doing a piece of that entrepreneurial support system.
And was WWIC part of the panel too?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. It was a nice visual opportunity for people attending to see the different organizations that support entrepreneurialism, and at the same time have some comfort level that they don't have to pick one or the other. They don't have to understand where the overlap is, because there are several opportunities for them to get assistance from 2 or 3 or all of them, whether it be the technical assistance piece or even lending. There were some examples given where CAP Services and WWIC both provide funding to the same business, sometimes at the same time, and sometimes one will fund the startup of the business and then the other one will fund an expansion of the business. So we work together very well.
Excellent.
Was Heart of Wisconsin also part of that?
Yes.
panel? Because they do have a loan fund.
Yes.
So, are there any plans to continue this series going forward in the months to come, or was that more of a one-off event?
So we hosted that in conjunction with WWIC and Invest in Wisconsin, and WWIC is interested in hosting again in February, I believe.
Oh, great.
So more information to come.
Okay. Mark your calendars. So, what other specific resources? I know that we talked maybe generally about the financial aspect of it, and also some of the educational resources that are available. Are there any specific educational resources that entrepreneurs could take advantage of going through any of your programs?
Yeah, the programs that I mentioned, and then WWSP does a lot of programming too. Up in this area, they just opened an Appleton office. So they're really expanding their programming into this area too. And Midstate was part of that as well, and they've got a large entrepreneur movement there. I know the university, UWSP, has a big continuing education program, so there's a lot of opportunities with that as well. I think what's beautiful about it is there's always opportunity for more.
In addition to the programming that's provided by the organizations that attended, SCORE puts on a lot of webinars.
Thank you.
We get a listing of them, and I feel like I get an email almost every day about a webinar that's coming up for SCORE.
Those are
And
national, though. It's not our
Right.
central Wisconsin SCORE doing.
the helpful thing about that is I can send that email on to businesses that we're working with, and I can say, hey, I think this really fits your business. You should watch it. There are several of them that I watch, and especially if I tell a client they should watch one, I will at least tune into it a little bit, and then I'll follow up with that client and say, did you watch that? What do you think? And then it creates a discussion piece rather than me trying to do all of the technical assistance. I can rely on resources that are already out there. All of these resources are free to the client, so it really helps layer that educational side.
Very good.
And SCORE has a geographical district, and I'm not sure I can figure out which ones it is because it goes back and forth lately. It's Adams, Wood, Portage, Clark, Taylor, Marathon. We just picked up Marathon, and I think Lincoln. So that's quite a group of, and we're getting resources to do Wausau again, simply because they decided to leave. And now I was told that we're going to be taking over that whole county. So how that, if Lincoln is going to be sucked into that or not, I don't know.
Okay.
But SCORE, we don't fund any money. We just look for people who can do that. We are not allowed by the Small Business Administration to do that. We are now it's called mentoring. It's virtually counseling. And we have different people who have different backgrounds who can do something like that. And Josh Alexander and myself are left. So we need to get more members in our group here.
So some stealth recruiting is going on here.
Yeah.
Interest.
Well, it's not. For those people who would like to help others and really you don't have to have a paycheck going along with it. I think SCORE is a good mix that you can get involved with.
It's a good way to give back.
Yeah. So SCORE is a good sister to the SBDC, and I'm hoping that we can work also with that.
So as a tie into what you were just talking about, Carla, and I throw this out to everybody here also, having the background that you all have in dealing with entrepreneurs and whatnot, do you see any trends that are happening in that community now in terms of what the interest might be, or any particular challenges that you might be seeing?
I would say the trend that we've seen, at least for a couple of years, and this feeds into the training that we provide, which isn't a lot of programming that's in a classroom style type of setting. We usually suggest our clients to go to SBDC or SCORE and WWSP and so on, and then come back. And we do a lot more one-on-one training, but then we try to fill in the gaps with the classroom style training where we see a need need or a trend starting to happen. So the area that we've been focusing on with some classroom style training is succession planning. We see, of course, and everybody knows what the national statistics are with people retiring. Well, the same thing happens for people in business. They want to retire too. And so they're looking for somebody to buy their business, or they would just end up closing the business. And so we try to provide a two-sided training session, or two meetings, one for the retiring entrepreneur, and to try to help them think about what does that look like, how do I value my business, how do I look for a buyer, how do I, even looking at how you would do your taxes. Are you going to write off a lot of things? Are you going to purchase a bunch of new things? And then also those aspiring entrepreneurs who would want to buy into a business, how do they look at financing that project? How do they look at the purchase of it? The value of it for them is different than the selling entrepreneur. So we've done training for a full year on that, and we've received some requests, especially from some bankers, to continue that, because of course they're seeing their clients coming into them are on one side or the other of those same projects.
Okay.
I think a trend that I'm seeing, I bet I don't go any days without somebody talking about not being able to find people to work for them. The unemployment is a big problem when it comes to employers. So we all see unemployment as, low unemployment is a great thing for the economy, but it creates a lot of frustration for small business owners, just because the talent's just not out there. So something that I work with clients with, my background's in marketing. So I really focus on, well, does your website say you're hiring? Do you have a job posting on your Facebook page? How are you using LinkedIn for recruiting? So we think bigger, right? So bigger than just the small, we're hiring signs in the window, bigger than just the post on Indeed. There's a lot more things that we can do, a lot more things that come into it. So I don't think I go a day without at least one person saying, I can't find anybody to work for me, what do I do? Unfortunately, I don't think it's going to turn around anytime soon for small business owners, so I don't think that's going to be a topic that we stop talking about. But for the economy, it's a great thing, but for small business owners, it's frustrating.
And it also depends on whether you're talking about the micro businesses, maybe a small retail. And they should look at over 55 and maybe some more diverse, different things. Go to job service and look at what are the programs they have. And they don't. They just say, well, I put it in the paper.
Yes.
And nobody came, nobody called me, and what am I supposed to do? Or I have to have my grandma come and sit behind the counter. And I said, well, there are other things that you can do, and I believe job service even has programs where they will pay a certain amount of the salary for starting. And that helps the small business to train, because training an employee is very, very expensive. We all know that. Yes. But there are grants.
We talk a lot about retention too, because they might find the talent, but then they're leaving for 50 cents more an hour, or they're leaving because someone has better vacation time than another, and the job market makes it so that's possible, right?
Absolutely.
So we talk a lot about retention with our clients too. So if you can't afford full health care, what are some other benefits you can offer? Do you make them feel included? Do you talk about growth potential? Where are they going to be in a couple years? These are things that especially the younger generation really pays attention to.
Based on all the things that you've already talked about, is there any one thing in particular that you'd like to communicate to entrepreneurs who are looking for assistance, either educational, financial, or both? Is there any closing thoughts or any elevator comments that you'd like to make in that regard?
I always tell people asking for help is not a sign of weakness, it's a sign of strength. I think that, entrepreneurs are proud people. They wouldn't start a business if they're not proud of what they're doing, right? So I think sometimes they're afraid to reach out. And if they do reach out and get assistance, sometimes they don't like what they hear. So maybe they stop coming because of that reason. If that resource isn't good for you, there's a lot of other ones out there. So I think that was, again, going back to the event that we put on, showing, look at all these people you can reach out to. There's someone out there for everybody to help in every reason. So I think just keeping an open mind to being open to having help. It's very hard to be a successful entrepreneur if no one helps you. So I very much encourage, whether it's SBDC, SCORE, WIBIC, KEP Services, the Hmong Chamber, whatever your resource is, among all the other ones out there, do get assistance and know that, the internet is a very helpful resource, but there's only so much that the internet can tell you without you knowing how to ask the right questions.
So did you have any thoughts of any final thoughts on?
Yeah, one thing that I would encourage people to do is if they do want to start a business, not to look at what a bank might have said, or don't look at your credit score if it has a ding on it, because there's this assumption that if you don't have a lot of money and you don't have a great credit score that you are not going to be able to start a business. Not necessarily that you wouldn't be good at it, but that you'll never get the funding for it because you either can't self-fund or you can't get a loan from a bank. And there are so many resources out there that don't look specifically at the credit score, meaning the number. They do look at your credit report. They are trying to build up what your character is. There are character loans. So those small micro loans really are about the person's character. What is your history of paying other small loans you might have had? Or if you had, say, a late payment, you had a delinquency on your credit report, did you do something to try to make payments towards it? I mean, we can see what happens on those credit reports. We understand that people run into medical issues, so we can see the things that caused credit to have some dings on it, and then we can see what else might be out there. So that's all part of getting a loan. And there are organizations such as KEP Services, such as other CDFIs. We work not only with people that don't have a lot of assets to be able to pledge to get a loan, but we work with people that are low income in the first place. We're working with them to help them. Yeah, exactly. We're working with them so that they can put themselves to work. We understand not everybody has a lot of resources at the tips of their fingers when they start. So it hopefully isn't something that holds too many people back.
I just wanted to add also, we have people that come in to Incourage and ask about, what they should do to start up and where they could get some information from. So I do think that there are a lot of people in our community that aren't aware of what resources are available. And my recommendation would be if you can connect to anyone, SB for the small business or the Heart Chamber or Community Action or Incourage, or SCORE, if you can connect anywhere along the way, that entity that you connected with will open up doors to other opportunities. So don't be afraid to reach out some way and connect in some, just to ask.
Good advice. So, in closing, I'm going to ask each of you to tell our audience who you are and who you represent and how they could contact you if they wanted to.
Okay.
Laura?
I'm Laura West. I work for KEP Services. We also provide administrative services for the Central Wisconsin Economic Development Fund. So we have technical assistance and funding assistance.
And Dawn?
I'm Dawn Vruwink with Incourage Community Foundation, and we are involved in investing opportunities available to people in our community.
All right. And Melissa?
I'm Melissa Meschke, the director of the Small Business Development Center at UW-Stevens Point. If you want to give the office a call, you can call 715-346-3838, and that'll take you to our customer service person, and she'll help direct the call from there.
Thank you all very much for joining us today. And Carla, did you have anything that you wanted to add before we close out?
Well, it's just that SCORE is, the main office is located in Marshfield, and you can call up there. You can get the number in Marshfield with the Chamber of Commerce, Mackey.
So as you can tell, if you're an entrepreneur or a current business person, you have a wealth of resources that you can call on here in this area. So we appreciate you tuning in. We appreciate our guests so much for providing all this information. So on behalf of my co-host Carla Lenk, we bid you adieu and look forward to seeing you next month with another episode of Community Business Matters.